Welcome to the first class of Computer Networking, Module 1, Section 1. In this section, Introduction to Networking and Historical Background. Let's begin the class. Topics covered in this section are History of Computer Networks, Classification of Networks, and Network Topology. Let's move to the first topic, that is History of Computer Networks. Computer networks are initially designed for sharing some resources between two or more computers. Two or more computers or some devices are interconnected to form a network. The devices may be either computers or smart devices, or there are some other class of device which are exclusively used for networking purpose, and such devices are called networking devices. Example are hub, router, gateway, etc. These networking devices along with the computers or smart devices form computer networks. All these elements of the network are called nodes of the network. Initially, network was designed for some sharing simple resources such as files, printers, etc. Later, it developed, and the development in the field was so fast that now networks are part of our day-to-day life. Everywhere there is computer network, from the grocery shop you visit, to the labs, to the scientific research centers, to the space centers. It is from the very small application to the very big applications we use computer networks. What is actually networking? Networking is interconnecting some set of objects. Prior to computer networks, we had so many other networks such as radio, television, railway, highway, bank, etc. Some of the examples are shown in the picture. Radio, then television, like that. Now let us see some historical background. The first ever computer network was known as a project called ARPANET. Its full form is Advanced Research Projects Agency Network, and it was formed by the US military for the sole purpose of defense, military purpose. It started in 1969 with 4 nodes in a small scale lab, and it developed so fast that during 1990 almost some 1000 nodes were present in this ARPANET, and it varies from countries to, that is America to Sweden. Actually, during this 1960s and 70s, some Cold War was going on between socialist countries and the countries on behalf of USA. And during this time, this ARPANET was used for sending some secret files from military to military, and it was solely used for that purpose only. And during 1990, this Cold War was ended. The socialist countries were all collapsed, and the Cold War was not there. And then the US defense decided to commercialize the ARPANET, that is, include private parties also in the ARPANET. And that commercialization resulted in the formation of Internet. That is, ARPANET was commercialized during 1990 to form a network called Internet. And in the Internet, so many private players were also included other than the defense purpose. And during 1980s and all, some technology called LAN, that is local area network, was developed for connecting some computers, some 2-3 computers, or connecting computers inside a small lab. Such technologies were present during the 1980s. It also helped the formation of ARPANET. Then satellite communication was introduced to cover from one point of the globe to the other. Satellite communication was used to connect computers over a huge distance. It also contributed to computer networks. Then came OFCs. OFCs are actually optical fiber cables. It has a huge bandwidth available. Bandwidth means speed or capacity. that is now we are telling bandwidth is MB, GB like that. That was possible with the introduction of technology called optical fiber cable. We had optical fiber cable to connect different continents to the seawater or undersea cables and connect from various places inside the country. We have optical fiber cable along the highways or the roads all over the country. OFC was installed so vigorously that every place is connected with huge bandwidth backbone link. This also contributed very much to computer networking. These much developments in computer networking was possible with the evolution of three technologies, namely computer, electronics, and then telecommunication. All these technologies combinedly developed to form computer network. Actually, computer network are the result of evolution in these three technologies. Now we will see some important points or some turning points in the development of these three fields. First ever computer, ENIAC, was developed during some 1960s and all. Then punch cards came. Punch cards, we have some methods to input some data to the computer. Then came the interactive computer including keyboard, mouse, etc. And the computer was formed as a personal computer or a small computer which can be seated on the desk was developed later during the 1990s and all, and it was commercially available to everyone, this PC. And from there during 2000 and all, smartphone was introduced. Smartphones are actually special purpose computers only. It has the all the features or all the functions that can be done using the PC can also be done using smartphones. And introduction of smartphones actually resulted in the huge increase in computer networking. And meanwhile, the electronics field was also developing, from transistors to ICs and from there to microprocessor. Actually, this initially during the 1990 and all, this transistor was used for developing circuits, and circuits were used for making computers and this circuits, one circuit or one huge board can be replaced by IC. This IC itself is some cumbersome. Then ICs took form of a microprocessor. Actually, microprocessor is a device which can replace our CPU. A CPU of the computer can be replaced by a single chip, and that chip is called as microprocessor. And from there it began VLSI. VLSI means very large scale integrated circuits. That is huge circuits which, if it was developed using MUPIs and ICs, these two technologies, was made available in a single VLSI chip. That is very large scale reduction in size of the device was resulted due to the technology called VLSI. Its full form is very large scale integration. These two are the electronics and computer technology, and the same development was going on in telecommunication also. Telegraphy was the first ever telecommunication service. It was sending some text only, just like some letters. Some small text were sent over the network using some mouse codes. Then telephony was introduced, and this was for voice communication. And from there radio came, television came, then satellite communication was introduced. Satellite communication resulted in a very long distance communication, that is from one part of the globe to the other part of the globe, from America to India, from Britain to India. Such long distance was covered initially using satellite. Then there came OFC. OFC was the turning point in communication because it has a huge bandwidth available. Actually, infinite speed can be given using OFC, and this was introduced all over the country, all over the globe, so fast that computer network was developed very fast, or it enhanced or increased the development in computer network. These two, that is VLSI and OFC, these two technologies are the turning point in computer network or any telecommunication purpose. These two are the important turning point, or from there it was revolutionized actually by using these two inventions. Now the second topic, that is classification of networks based on scale or size. Scale means the size of the network, how much big it is, or how far it can reach. That is actually scale of the network. Depending on the scale, it can be classified as local area network, then comes wide area networks, then comes metropolitan area network. As the name indicates, local area means small area. It covers a very small area, such as a computer lab or a room, something like that. Metropolitan area network means it covers a city, inside a city. So how many computers are there? They are interconnected, and such network is called a metropolitan area network. And last one, it is wide area network. It is actually infinitely large, from countries to countries, from various part of the globe we can connect. That is called wide area network. The area is very large. Now let's see a local area network. This is a simple local area network. These two PCs are connected using these wires to a device called hub. This is the device I initially told, solely for the purpose of networking. And this is a wireless device. It can connect wirelessly to laptops, tablets, mobile phones, etc. The importance of this local area network is that we can share some files, some small messages can be sent from this PC to this PC, or this PC to this smartphone, like that. Or if a printer was connected here, a printer was connected to this computer, this printer can be used from this mobile phone or this tablet or this laptop. They can use this printer, or in some cases some dedicated printers for networking itself is available. Such printers are called networking printers. If such printer is there, that printer also we can share. The LANs are mainly used nowadays to share the resources such as printer, or sometimes many times internet connection. If an internet connection is available for this modem or this hub, some internet connection is there, that internet connection can be shared among all these devices. That is the main purpose of local area network. Now we will see local area network in detail. That is, as I told, internet interconnects computers within a limited area, usually within a room or floor, and it is usually of the size less than 100 meter. The number of computers is very small, between 10 to 50. Usually within 10 only, some 2-3 computers form a LAN nowadays in our home and all, used for sharing resources. That is the main use of local area network, sharing resources. Resources can be either hardware like a printer, internet connection, etc., or software like files, some applications, like that. If one application is installed in one computer, it can be used by the other computer in the LAN. That also is possible, sharing of resources such as hardware or software. The advantages or the properties of LAN, that it is very simple, distance is very small, so the media used is very reliable, or no problem is there with the media usually. If it is very large, then we have to care for the medium. Since it is very small distance, medium will act as in the theory, because the distance is very small. Transmission media is very reliable, usually some UTP cables, and also called as Cat5 or Cat6 cable. It is actually category 6 or Cat6 cables, or Wi-Fi. It can be wireless also. The network management is very cost effective, or it is very simple. We can easily add one more computer to the network, we can drop one computer to the network. These all are possible very easily. That all are the properties of LAN. Now we have wide area network. Wide area network means it covers computers over a very large distance. This may be in India, this can be in USA. That much distance is possible, or it can be in Kerala or Delhi. The distance is very large. That is the main property of wide area network. Usually the companies will not have this much, that is from in India to USA, a company or a bank or somebody who is intended to have a network, that much cost they cannot bear. So usually it will be provided by an internet service provider. They are the specialist, or they have huge network installed already, and this customer or this enterprise will be such as SBI or some bank, something like that. They will be taking this link as a leased or rent. For rent they will be taking some circuits, and it is owned by the ISPs and rented by the customers, usually, most often. Now the properties of WAN, once again, it connects computers that are very far apart, usually all around globe. Number of computers involved is very large, practically countless. In LAN and WAN it is limited, but here no limit is there. Used for sharing or collection of data, voice, image and information over large geographical area. Use is same only difference is large geographical area. That is the only difference with WAN. And number of computers involved is countless. It is usually owned by service providers. WAN links are taken on rent basis from ISPs. Usually these internet service providers are telecom companies such as BSNL, Reliance Jio, etc. Some rare cases are there, such as railway. Railway are having their own network, that is, it is completely owned by railway. And some military, for military also they are having some exclusive networks. Such networks completely owned by the enterprise or company is called enterprise networks. Some examples are this railway, military, etc. Fully owned and operated by the company, that network is called enterprise network. Usually these service providers will lease or rent some connection, and the companies will be taking that connection, and it will be used for WAN. Most common example or the best example for the WAN is internet. Actually internet is also called as network of all networks, network of all networks. Now it is metropolitan area network. It doesn't have any practical significance nowadays, even though it is used all in the academic books. Usually it interconnects computers within a city. Usually some interconnection of or collection of LAN in the same city is actually MAN or metropolitan area network. Number of computers is medium, that is, it is higher than LAN but less than WAN. Distance is also higher than LAN but less than WAN. Some standard is there. These standards and all we will see later. Some exclusive standard is there for MAN, and that is why it is still seen in all the textbooks. Usually only we have, nowadays we have only LAN and WAN only in the practical scenarios. And more often a combination of both LAN and WAN is used for the all the purpose. Consider a bank or a insurance company situated in city, our city A, and office, they have an office, and all the computers in that office will be forming a LAN. If it is a bank, all the computers in the counters, then manager's cabin, then printers, everything will be connected to form a LAN. This is actually a LAN, and they can use this LAN for sharing resources between these two or these two, from counter to manager, from manager to counter. Such files can be transferred or applications can be done. That forms LAN. But it also has a WAN part, which is used for connecting the regional office or head office. In the case of bank, they will be having some servers, some huge computers, some servers. All the accounts, details, everything will be available in the counter, and from the cash, if some account to some account, the cashier credits or debits some account, it will be gone via the WAN to the server, and it will be updated in the server. That is, usually a combination of LAN and WANs will solve the purpose, will only serve the purpose. As simple LAN or as simple WAN, there is not much use. We also in our home also we can usually having a LAN with wireless modem. We have a wireless modem and a computer and a smartphone. This computer and smartphone or computer and laptop will form a LAN, and it will be having an internet part, and that will form as the WAN part actually. So for any network there will be a LAN part and a WAN part. This is actually LAN part. This forms LAN and this forms WAN part, and this device used for interconnecting this LAN and WAN or interfacing LAN and WAN, such device is called a router. Routers usually interfaces different networks. We will see all these details later. Now let just remember that a combination of LAN and WAN serve all our practical purpose. The same thing in practice, combination of both is used. It is connected to regional office or head office servers via WAN, and a router is capable of interfacing a LAN with a LAN. The same thing I have already explained. Then another classification of networking is there. One classification, it was LAN, WAN and MAN. It is based on the scale or size of the network, and the other classification is based on the architecture model or the model of the network, and they are client server model and peer-to-peer model. These two are the model possible, the architecture possible for computer networking. We will see one by one. First one is the client server model. In this model, there it can be either LAN or WAN or anything. There will be a high capacity computer called as server. It actually serves these clients. These are all clients. 1, 2, 3. 3 clients are there, and this is the server. Or it operates as a master and slaves. This is the master and this is the slaves. Actually, we can say in other terms, if any request is sent by this client, it will go to the server, and server will serve that request depending on the availability of the resource in the server. An example of a server is actually a web server, such as google.com. It is a web server situated somewhere, and if this client is actually Internet Explorer or Google Chrome installed in this computer, acts as a client, and that client request for the web page google.com or some search computer networking, and that request will be sent to this server, and server will process that request, and the result will be sent to this client. This model is actually called client server model. There is a server which serve the request, and there is client which initiate the request, and this architecture is called client server model. Lot of applications are there, such as web server, then FTP server is there, which is used to save some files and all. FTP server is there, then message server is there. So many servers are there. We will see all those things in details. Now for the time being, just remember that there is a model called client server model, and in this model one computer is the master and other is the slaves. Actually, they all make request and the server serve the request. This is called client server model. We will explain this. One computer nominated as server, it serves all the resource request. Example, web server, FTP server, etc. All the computers other involved are clients. Requests from clients are served by the server. One server can serve many clients. Server is installed with server softwares, that is server operating systems are there. Such server is actually a high resource computer. The server is usually high capacity hardware, high in hardware as well as software. Some specialized softwares are required for. Now we will see peer-to-peer model. It is a just opposite of that. In peer-to-peer model, all computers have the same status. No server is there. Everyone acts according to the softwares installed or softwares available in this PC. Usually for high capacity or huge applications we use client server model, and small scale applications we use peer-to-peer model. That is for some simple file sharing. between these two computers, or a computer connected with a printer here or a scanner here. It has to be shared with other computers. All these are some small scale applications, and these small scale applications are possible with the desktop application installed in this PC itself. Such model is called peer-to-peer model. All acts as peers. Peers means friends or people in the same with the same authority and all. Such people are called peers, or in this case computers all have same priority. Used for small scale applications such as some file sharing, printer sharing, etc. The main factor is the request. The number of requests is very less. That is, this printer can be shared only with some 2-3 computers only. But whereas if it was a server, that dedicated hardware can support some thousands of requests simultaneously. That is the difference. In peer-to-peer model, one node can only serve some 2-3 requests only. It will both act as a serve and request. This PC can serve also, request also, but everything is limited. It can handle only some 2-3 PCs. Whereas in the other case, client server, a server can handle, you see google.com can handle some millions of clients at a same time. That is the capacity of that server. That is, client server model is used for huge applications, high capacity applications, and peer-to-peer model is used for small capacity applications. All computers are capable of serving and making requests. No central server. Usually PCs connected in a LAN forms a peer-to-peer model. All computers can send, receive files, such as all the softwares available with all desktop OS, that such as Windows 7 or 10 or Linux such as Ubuntu. Everything is capable of such client server. It can both included in the desktop OS itself. Such OS is only required for peer-to-peer model. Whereas in server model, some special server applications are required, or server OS, we will call server OS is required in the case of servers. That is the difference between peer-to-peer model and client server model. And next is the wireless network. Now all the networking is gradually shifting to the wireless mode. Wires are replaced by wireless. We are using Wi-Fi in our home actually to replace wired LAN, or wired LAN is replaced by Wi-Fi, and wired WAN is replaced by 3G, 4G such as mobile, etc. high capacity broadband systems that are replacing wired WAN. Usually this last mile access, that is, I told that internet service provider is there, some from the customer, that is from you, to the nearest point available with the ISP or the nearest equipment, that is some tower or some exchange or some switch, that is nearest point of the ISP. This link is called access link. That is, customer is made as a part of the network of ISP. That end link is called as the access link. Now usually all the access links are made in the or replaced by wireless means. They are easy to implement. One tower, you just install one tower, make all the subscribers under you, that's all. Whereas in wired circuits, we install equipment, then we have to lay cables to every home, so many procedures are there. But in wireless it is very simple, easy to implement. Now we will see the third portion or the last portion of the class, that is network topology. Topology is how PCs or nodes are interconnected to form a network. That is actually topology. Some 4 or 5 topologies are there. The most important ones are discussed: bus, star, mesh and ring. We will see one by one. This is the bus topology. Bus means a collection of wires is actually called a bus. Bus means collection of wires. Collection of wires is called data bus or simply bus. Bus means data bus. Data bus is used to transport data. This is the data bus, and from that bus connection is dropped from wherever it is required. This example connects 3 PCs 1, 2, 3 in bus topology. the connections are usually tapped from the bus. The same bus is used for all the 3 computers, and actually the bandwidth will be shared. And the main problem with the bus topology is that if the connection breaks here or some damage happens here, all the computers from this point will be out of the network, or that connection will be interrupted. That is the main problem of the bus topology, but it is very simple, easy to use. All nodes are connected to the same cable. Just take a tapping, that's all. We can add more computers very easily. That all are the advantages of bus topology, but the main disadvantage is that if a connection break or something happens to the bus, every other nodes will be disrupted. Then comes star topology. In this topology, a centralized device, especially for networking, for example hub or switch, can be hub or switch, is there, and all the PCs will be connected to that PC. A data coming from PC1 will be broadcasted or sent simultaneously to all PCs, all other PC. One packet or one bit from here will be received by this port, and from this port, every other port, it will be broadcasted simultaneously. It will be having the address of the station required, so that station only will receive the data. That is a process involved in star topology, and it requires a centralized hub or centralized device. The main problem with this topology is that if something happens to the hub, the whole network fails, and it is very simple to implement, because just take a connection. A break in this link will only affect this PC, all other PCs can communicate. That all are the advantages of star topology. It is very simple. A broken link will affect only one station, but the disadvantage is that one small problem in the hub or switch or central device will collapse the whole network. Number of connections required is also very less, only 4 connections are required. And the next topology is mesh topology. Mesh topology connects one node to all other nodes. So many connections are there. This station is interconnected to all the other stations. There will be n into n minus 1 divided by 2. That much connections will be there between all the PCs. This is the total number of connections required. That much connections is required. That is one disadvantage for this. But the main advantage is that if anything happens to this link, that data can be diverted from like this, from this node, if it is designed, or it can be transferred like this. So many paths are available from one station to another station. So if one path fails, it will be rerouted to the other path. If that also fails, it will be rerouted again through another different path. So many paths are there. That is the main advantage of mesh topology. But to get that advantage, we have to install this much links. This is very huge actually, and mainly if the number of nodes are high. If it is some 4 or 5 or something like that, it is okay. If it is some 1000 or something around more than 1000, so then this number of links is actually very huge. So this mesh topology will be used only in the core network, or if the number of devices involved is very small and the importance for the link is very high. That is, this is to be made available, this connection from station to station. That is some core routers in India. There will be some core routers or central routers, some 4 or 5 routers situated in the major cities like Calcutta, Chennai, Mumbai, like that. Such routers are actually connected by means of mesh topology. If any connection breaks, then that will be rerouted to the other path. That is mesh topology. It is very reliable. That is the main advantage of mesh topology. There is another topology called ring topology, and it is mainly used in telephone only. In computer network, some token ring or something was there. They are all now obsolete or not used nowadays. Even then, one topology is there, ring topology. All the nodes will be connected to the same bus to form a ring. Starting from here to, it will be closed here itself. All are repeaters, tapping points repeaters. and this forms a ring. The advantage of the ring is that if anything happens in the link, or if this link breaks, the traffic will be routed via this way. From this computer to this computer we can send signal like this. Only one failure it can withstand. If a failure happens here also, then the ring fails. Only the interconnected computers only can send data. No data can be sent from here to here. It is not possible if two breaks are there. Ring topology, it combines the advantage of both mesh and bus topology. It is very easy to implement and some reliability is there. Not that reliable as mesh topology, but some reliability is there. That is the ring topology. This is also used in telephony in large scale. Now we will see internet service providers. This is a major term involved in the internet. ISPs are usually companies who provide internet connectivity. They won't own the internet. Nobody owns the internet. Internet is actually a network of networks, and it is a distributed ownership is there actually. Everybody is owner of their properties. The service providers or ISPs in India are usually telecom companies, BSNL, Reliance Jio. They will be having networks of routers or some core networking equipments situated all over India, and they will be providing connectivity to that PC or that router. Or this is BSNL network, internet network. It will be connected to internet in some gateway using some gateway routers. Such routers which are connected to other network is called gateway routers. Some core router will be there connected to the internet. We will be connecting our PC to BSNL network or the nearest exchange or nearest tower or nearest equipment. This is some edge equipment which is capable of connecting subscribers, usually some exchange or some tower, mobile tower, and that will be connected to the BSNL core network, and it will be connected at some point to the internet. That is how they are providing internet as a service. So they will collect some rent for this service, and that is how internet is provided in India. They are called ISPs. Remember this point, ISP, internet service provider. Railtel is another service provider. Then some cable TV operators are there. They also provide internet. And that is all regarding our topics under discussion today. One more topic is there in the syllabus, that is applications of internet. Today's applications of internet, such a topic is there, that you make a self study. Internet doesn't need any introduction nowadays. It has lots of applications everywhere. Education, bank, wherever some service is there, now it is computerized and it all uses networking. So there are thousands and thousands of uses. List out some uses and study some of them. That's all for today. Have a good day.